Hello everyone. So let us start with retrosynthetic analysis. Retrosynthetic means going back. If we have a starting material, we can say that we can come to the product. But if already we have some target material, how to arrive at a starting material can be seen to be a system called as retrosynthetic analysis. If there is an unknown target material given to us, we can cut down my target material into some known compounds, and in turn we can design the synthesis. So this is how we can describe retrosynthetic analysis. Retrosynthetic analysis is very important in terms of understanding certain reactions, in terms of understanding the target molecule, and finally designing an easy synthesis. But disconnection approach can also be seen as how can we give an approach to a target material and finally end up being giving a system of a starting material which are easily available to us. So retrosynthetic analysis can also be seen as an important source where the knowledge of all the organic chemistry reactions can be required. So coming to what is a disconnection approach. Disconnection approach is a logical approach to design a synthesis. Now this can be either to a functional group interconversion, it can be complete disconnection of my starting material. So when a target molecule is given, what is a target molecule? A target molecule is nothing but a molecule to be designed. We can say that we have an unknown target molecule given to us without being known about the starting material. So that becomes our target molecule. Finally, there will be few sequence of reactions where many routes are designed. First, we may see there will be many routes which will be designed, and the best one is always chosen, so that later we can arrive to our starting materials which are economically useful as well as easily available, and then we design the synthesis so that we arrive at the target material. For example, let us say that we have a target material or a target molecule Tm which is giving me x plus y. Now these are my starting material. This arrow represents retrosynthetic arrow. That means we can see that we are going back in the reaction. A very common example of benzoyl ester. Now esters are synthesized by the reaction of an alcohol plus an acid, or an alcohol or an chloride. Now for example, benzoyl ester. If I break open this particular system by retrosynthetic analysis, I can observe that I can cleave the molecule at an ester point, so that my starting material will be benzyl alcohol, the other one would be benzyl chloride. This, when it reacts with each other, I go to a further so that I'll get my starting material. So at this point I'm going to cleave the system. Now the second example can be a synthesis of an amide system. Now we can see that there is an amide linkage. Now how an amide is cleaved? An amide is cleaved by either when it can be cleaved at a position of a carboxylic acid or a chloride system. So we can see that at an amide position, if we cleave the system, CN bond is cleaved and we get a starting material as paranitrobenzoyl chloride and 2,6-dimethyl aniline. All these four products, that is benzyl alcohol, benzyl chloride, paranitrobenzoyl chloride, benzoyl chloride, 2,6-dimethyl aniline, are all commercially available and hence they can be considered for the reaction. Now when we start with the system of retrosynthetic analysis, there come certain words. They can be synthons. Synthons can be something called as cations or anions resulting from the disconnection. Like for example, O minus, N plus, so on and so forth. Now these are called to be synthons. Now there are also systems called as synthetic equivalents. With respect to these synthons, we can also form some synthetic equivalents. Now for example, let us see this molecule. Now we can see that NHCOCH3, this is an anilide structure. Now we have got an anilide system. What we can do is an aniline system can be first formed. So what we can give is we can have a parahydroxy aniline system which can react with the system of cation, which can be a chloride system or an anhydride system. So the starting materials can be in a way that para-aminophenol can be one of the starting material. There are two other cationic systems which can compete for the cationic systems as well as the starting material. But we have to see where the byproduct will be less harmful to this system. That means though we are getting some byproduct, when this aniline reacts with a chloride system or an anhydride system, what will be the byproduct? If I choose the starting material to be acetyl chloride, now this can be a cation system through which a synthetic equivalent I am choosing to be acetyl chloride. By this I can say that there is a byproduct which is HCl. Now HCl is harmful, so its handling would be very difficult. So its cationic system that we are observing for an acetyl chloride is CH3 C double bond O C plus. But what will happen with the byproduct is the HCl will be released, which is very difficult to handle. But let's come to the second option. The second option can be an anhydride system. The cationic system that I am going to consider over here is CH3 C double bond O plus. Now we can see that this is what I am speaking about. Now CH3 C double bond O plus is said to be a synthon. It can be either cation or anion system, whereas synthetic equivalents are these acetyl chloride or acetic anhydrides. Now what I will be choosing is, I will be choosing an acetic anhydride where the byproduct will be acetic acid and hence it will be easy to handle. So an actual synthesis or the actual synthesis can be something like this. Para-aminophenol reacts with acetic anhydride to give me my final product. Now synthetic equivalents can be said to be actual reagents. They are not an intermediates. Now synthons can be said to be an intermediate systems, whereas synthetic equivalents can be said to be actual reagents. Now let us consider this ether linkage over here. We are cleaving at an ether linkage so that C double bond O is cleaved out, and when we look into this, it is a negatively charged species. That means this is a synthon which is negatively charged, or it is an anionic species. Further, when I have cleaved over here, I will also have a positively charged species, that is CO2H attached to some positively charged species. So how can I arrive this? That is, synthons are something which are cations or anions, whereas synthetic equivalents are something where they are said to be actual reagents. Now the actual reagent for this particular starting material or the synthon would be your OH system, that is a phenol system. It is a substituted phenol system which reacts with a base abstracts the proton and I get an O minus. Second one can be a positively charged system should be got on the carbon. So how I can choose? Either it should be a good leaving group. Now the good leaving groups can be Cl, Br, it can be tosyl group. Now these synthetic equivalents are said to be a reagent carrying out the function of a synthon. That means these are complete reagent systems. Now when we look at the synthesis, we have a phenol system. It reacts with a base, abstracts a proton, and when there is a substituted carboxylic group, there is a good leaving group and we get our target molecule. Synthons are said to be unstable because either they will be cations or anion system, whereas synthetic equivalents are your stable systems. That means they are actual reagents which will participate in the reagent, in the final reaction. Now coming to what are the different definitions of the system. Now we can say that disconnection is conversion of a target molecule to a starting material. Now when we take up an example like acetanilide, acetanilide is synthesized by aniline plus acetyl chloride. So target material is my acetanilide system. My starting material can be an aniline and an acetyl chloride. So that is called as disconnection. Functional group interconversion, that is writing one functional group for another. That is, if I require an NH2, what I will be writing is NO2 I will write first and then I will reduce the system to NH2. So this is like writing one functional group for another system. Reagent is something where compound reacts to give an intermediate in a planned system. That means there should be some planned system that we are going to carry out and there should be some intermediate. Now for example, I've got a phenol and then I want this O minus. So how do I choose this? I take up a phenol, I add a base, there is an abstraction of a proton, so I'll get a negative charge species. The same way I can see few example. Now if I want a positively charged carbon, I will attach it to negatively charged systems like RBr, Ri, ROMs, etc. Now if I want to have a positively charged carbon, I would also have a something system like a carbonyl carbon. So how can I write it? I can have a carbonyl carbon as my starting material. Now R minus, if I want a carbon which is negatively charged, my synthon would be a system like RO minus. So how I will write a synthetic equivalent? I will write it as RMGBr or RLi, so that this MGBr when it leaves or Li when it leaves, there is a negative charge which is going to reside on the carbon. So similarly, this part of the system that I can observe is a synthon system, and these are said to be synthetic equivalents, that are your complete starting materials or their complete reagents. Now there will be certain guidelines to certain of the disconnection approach. Now there will be certain guidelines given, and according to that we have to go on doing a disconnection approach. The first guideline is there should be real and workable conditions. That is, the starting material should be easily available, it should have an easy synthetic strategy, and also there should be easy byproducts which can be handled. Now for example, if I take up this 2,4-D, this 2,4-D system has got an 2 ethereal linkage over here. This is C single bond O, then we have a C single bond O. We can have both the approach for our cleavage, but what we will choose, we will look into all the systems that we can first cleave this system. We'll put a retrosynthetic arrow like this, and then we will cleave at this point. That is pink line point. I'm going to cleave, that is C single bond O. I'll get a negatively charged oxygen, which is more permissible because oxygen can carry negative charge. I'll get a substituted benzene system with a negatively charged system, which is my synthon, and a positively charged carboxylic group where I can add some leaving group to the system and I can have this system. Let me choose another route. For the same target molecule, I can cleave at this point, that is at the blue point I am going to cleave, that is C single bond O. Now there will be positively charged benzene, which is a very difficult condition because benzene can carry negatively charged system easily. But when I put a positively charged species, that means it is not stable. Also there will be a negatively charged oxygen, which is okay. It is workable because I can add an OH here. But the other starting material is not workable. So when I look into both of these synthetic strategies, I see to it that oxygen carrying a negative charge is more workable strategy rather than a benzene carrying a positive charge. Hence the first strategy is more workable type of strategy. That is how we can say that there should be real and workable conditions. Now whenever there is a presence of a heteroatom, that is there is an ether, ester, there is some sulfur attached to it, it should be always seen to that there should be a disconnection as an heteroatom only. Now for example, when I take up a chlorobenzide, there is a C single bond S. The point of disconnection should always be chosen at a system where it is C single bond S. That is how we are doing a disconnection approach, and we have a S which is negatively charged and there is a positively charged substituted benzene. Now these are its synthon systems. Now their synthetic equivalents would be a substituted thiol system, that is chlorothiol system, and then 1-chloro 1-parachloro phenyl methane system. That is, this particular methane system can be used as a substituted system, and these are said to be a synthetic equivalents which are complete reagents. Now when I look at synthesis, substituted thiophenol system reacts in the presence of a base with 1-chloro 1-parachloro phenyl methane to give me my target molecule, which is a chlorobenzide. So what we have done is we have chosen in such a way that we always disconnect at a heteroatom. The next example in the same category would be this particular substituted amine system. Now we can see that this is an amine which is having some long chain system here and a benzene associated. So I will be cleaving at C single bond N. Now when I cleave at C single bond N, I can see that I can have an RBr and then a substituted benzene system, that is a benzene which is attached to an aniline ester system can be given. Now this aniline ester system can be further broken down, that is this cannot be chosen as a starting material. So what I will do is I'll be choosing this as an intermediate, then further I will just pick it up so that now ester can be broken down. Now an ester can be broken down at C single bond O, and what I will get, a carboxylic acid which is going to have another starting material which is a alcohol system. Now here I am going to give directly my synthetic equivalents. Now the synthesis is something like this, where there is a PABA, that is para-aminobenzoic acid, reacts with ethanol in the presence of H plus to give me an ester. This will react with a RBR, that is RCH2Br, which is a substituted Br system, and the presence of a base. Again, what is going to happen is there will be a system which is going to attack onto this NH2, and I get my starting material, that is my target molecule. Further, this can be done because I can easily abstract a proton by the NH2, that is the first system, and then Br is a good leaving group which is going to leave out as HBr system. So the target material can be reached by two steps over here. First is by cleaving the C single bond N, second is by cleaving the C single bond O. So the disconnection is at the heteroatom. Now there will be certain of the reaction where there will be very chemoselective. That means it will have a disconnection more reactive, and there will be more chemoselectivity. That means the more chemoselective reaction, it will pose more difficult system. So we have to actually avoid chemoselectivity. How we can avoid a chemoselectivity is by disconnecting a more reactive group first. Now chemoselective reaction, there will be two or more functional group, and the reagent should have to target only one. Now if there are presence of two carbonyl carbons, then only one carbonyl carbon has to be targeted, whereas the other carbonyl carbon should not be targeted. Now for example, let us see to this starting material. Now here we will see a disconnection approach. I'll be disconnecting at this C single bond O so that I get a carboxylic group. Now an ester is disconnected and I get a C single bond O disconnected, and I get a carboxylic group with a methanol. Obviously I will be doing a functional group interconversion. So for this OH, I will be writing some other group. So OH can be done a functional group interconversion by carbonyl carbon. So what we are doing is we are introducing one group for the other. That is, in place of OH, I am writing a carbonyl carbon. So how can I follow this synthesis? I can follow this synthesis by choosing the starting material. There will be two carbonyl carbons. Now a carbonyl carbon in the presence of methanol, it is definitely going to give me an ester, that is carboxylic group reacts with the methanol in the presence of H plus, so that it is going to give me an ester. Now look at my target molecule. One carbonyl carbon should be always intact, whereas the other carbonyl carbon should be reduced to an OH. So I will choose a reagent in such a way that it's a chemoselective reagent. Now that example can be sodium borohydride. Sodium borohydride in the presence of moisture will not attack the carbonyl carbon of an ester, but it will attack the carbonyl carbon which is free. That is how it is called as a chemoselective reagent. Further, when it is going to reduce this carbonyl carbon, it is going to reduce only the carbonyl carbon which is not an ester carbonyl carbon, whereas it is a simple carbonyl carbon, and hence I will be getting my final target molecule. Looking at the same principle, let us go for the other example. Now this is my target molecule with a double bond and a triple bond. This is in presence of sodium and NH3, that is sodamide structure. In the presence of Na and NH3, only the triple bond is targeted and the double bond is never targeted. And finally, we always get a trans-oriented product. So sodium in ammonia, it is a chemoselective reagent. So generally, chemoselectivity can be either avoided, or the reagent that has to be chosen should be a chemoselective reagent. So that is some of the guidelines that needs to be followed.